Hello, everyone. Hi. So you're welcome to the second episode lecture of this series. And the beautiful thing that I would like you to do right now is to head over to bubble.io and just sign up for an account. It's pretty straightforward. You can sign up with a Gmail account. You can sign up with any email that you have access to. And I want you to go ahead and sign up. Right, so once you have done that and you have done that successfully, then I want you to scroll down to the place where you're going to see that's on the home page. That's the bubble.io homepage. Once you're signed in, I want you to scroll down to the place where you're going to see new application. So just click on that. So you're going to click new app. So you're going to give your application a name. Now the thing about this application name is that it just works like a domain name, right? So some names are not going to be available because they've already been taken, right? Well, some are going to be available. So for example, let's say if I type no code talent, see, so, if I try to create the app, it's going to tell me it's unavailable, right? So you want to choose something that's available. Right now, I'm trying to build a social media network, so I'm going to call this social talents. I hope it's available. What kind of app are you building? It's a social network. So this is just like a lead generation form for Bubble. It really, I mean, a lot of this is not really important. So if you have a template, right now I have a template called scheduling to like Calendly. I mean, if you have a template installed from Bubble, you're going to see that template appear here, right? But right now I'm not working with a template. I'm just starting from scratch. I'm going to be showing how to build this application from scratch so you can work with it. So details about your application. Yeah, you can type a little bit of details, just a social network for coders, for no coders, sorry. What's your goal with this application? Start a business. So, like I said, this is lead generation, not really important, aspect of your business. So once you're done with that, that should take you straight on to the dashboard area. That's more or less like the front-end development area where you could do a lot of development on your application. So it's just loading your application. All right, so we've loaded. So what really happens is that there's a default template that Bubble has, and they have like all the sign up login, they have the header, they have all these things. So we're not going to be working with this. We're going to be starting with a blank page. And we're going to close this assistant because I am going to be your assistant for today. So you can see it's a completely blank page. Now we're not going to really do any editing in this episode. I'm just going to walk you through some of the functionalities here so that you just have a brief understanding of how this development area works. So right here we have this tabs where you have the design tab, you have the workflow, you have the data, styles, plugins, settings, and logs. Design tab basically brings you to the part of the application where you could design your templates. You can put buttons, put text, you could put, it's more or less like a drag and drop feature. So for example, if I want a button here, I just click this, it's going to put a button, right? If I want to create a form, I can use an input, form here, just put this, so people could type there. Just going to click this and delete. So that's like the design tab. So it's where you basically do the design for your app. Workflow is basically where, this is where the beauty of the Bubble application comes alive and no coding. So it's more or less where you can create events, you can create workflows basically based on what your app wants. So a workflow, a simple example of a workflow is like if this then that. That's basically the functionality of how Bubble works. If this then that. So for example, let's say that if somebody fills this form, then log them into the website or take them to this page. So that's the difference between you having a static website versus like a web application, because web application is built basically on workflows that if somebody clicks this button, then create this, or if somebody fills this form, take them to this page. If somebody doesn't fill the form, or maybe they didn't put their first name, they put this, do this and do that. So it's basically you creating the workflows of your application. And you always want to be thinking this way because this is the way Bubble thinks. So you kind of have to instruct Bubble on the actions that you want Bubble to take. So if somebody does something, takes this action, then there's a reaction that you want Bubble to do. If somebody does not take this action, then you want Bubble to take an action based on what they did not do. So it's based on those workflows. The more we design, the more we go into the designing and the workflow implementation, you're going to understand this more clearly. But I just want you to understand that it's like an if this then that kind of development. Then of course the data tab is a very important place. This is basically where most of the development really starts from. Here you're able to create data types based on your application. So when you're designing a web application, you really want to think through what are the different data points, right? Data structures. So for example, with a social media application, you have the users, which is always going to be a default data type because every application is a user. Then you're going to have things like comments, you're going to have things like posts, you're going to have things like likes. In the case of the application we're building, you're going to have different kinds of data points, and some data relates to other data points. So for example, under a post you have likes, you have comments. So a post has likes, a post has comments. So some data points relate to others, and it's very important that you understand the relation between each data point. This is also something that you will understand more clearly as we go into the development of the application. And we're also going to be walking you through the privacy tab. So this is where you're able to really come out and map out the privacy of your application. So, and this is very useful when you're dealing with sensitive data. On a social media network, there's a bit of data that is shared that is okay, but there's some data that you don't want to be shared. So for example, things like email. You basically don't want people to have access to other people's email, but you want them to be able to see their posts, you want them to be able to see their comments and things like that. App data, here you're able to see very broadly the different form fields, the different users that are registered on the application. So this is basically where you're going to see like the implementation of that data structure. So where people are registering, where people are filling forms, you're going to be able to see all of that under your app data. And then option sets works along with data types, right? So there are times when there are regular options for a specific data type, and you don't want to create different data types for that structure. So what you do is you use option sets. So let me give an example of this. So let's say you're trying to create a data type for colors, and under colors you have red, yellow, blue, green, right? So you want people to select the color that they want for their, I don't know, maybe like their social media color page. So maybe you want them to be able to make the social media page have different colors and let it be the color that they want. So, and the colors are red, yellow, blue, green. So here you can create an option set for yellow, create another one for blue, create another one for green, and on it goes. So basically, then you create a data type called colors, right? And so you don't really need to type, you don't need to go ahead and do this. I'm just showing you an example, and here we're just going to say type, and the type is going to be an option set, you know, which is yellow, blue. Oh, sorry, I did not do this correctly. Let's go back to the option set. So I did not do this correctly. Sorry about that. So I'm supposed to call this colors. And once you create this, you have new option, you have blue, and you have yellow, and then you have white. You get the idea. So under my data tab, if I come here and I create a new field and I call it type, and I just select colors. So anytime somebody is having the option of selecting colors on the data structure, it's going to break out this option set. So it helps when you have different options and you don't really want to create, you want to start creating yellow, blue, green fields. So you can do that on the option sets. So I'm just going to delete this, and I'm going to delete this, right? Okay, so that's that about option set. The file manager basically shows you, right, the files that have been uploaded on the application, right? So sometimes you can have images, you can have different things uploaded on the application. It comes under files. So styles is basically like the CSS point of your application, where you are able to style your application. So sometimes you might be designing a particular page, or you might be working with a font, and you don't want that font, you don't want to be recreating that font all the time. So you can just style that font under here, and you can give that style a name. So it's like the CSS part of your application. Plugins. So a lot of times, there are third-party plugins that you want to integrate with your application. You might be developing something, and it's really it requires the need of another plugin, because if Bob were to put all the plugins and all the functionalities on the design tab here, it's going to be extremely heavy, right? So what they do is that you can basically come here and add a plugin of what you want if what you're looking for is not right there on the design tab. And to do that, you just click on add plugins, and then you add a plugin, and it's and once you're done, you just click done. It's very fast, very easy. Then settings is basically where you set the application of your app. You can say I'm operating on the free plan, and you can change to other plans. But in order to do this, you have to subscribe. I think the lowest is $29 a month. And another general here, you can, something really important you can do here, you can change the colors. So these are the primary colors displayed on your color picker. What I like to do is I like to change this to specify some colors that I use a couple of times. So for example, I might change this to a 3333. You can do that on your application as well. So just change this to 3333, so that's the black. And then I can change this to EB. That's EB. Sorry. EB. So that's a light gray. And then I've got the dark lines. And then this is going to be my brand color. This is D6275. And then I've got so it looks good. Then domain, email, languages, SEO tag. So the remaining things we're not really going to deal with them, in this application. Maybe in future applications we can deal with them, but these are the important things you need to know. So now let's go into the development of our application. Okay, yeah, so I still have to walk you through some other parts of the app before we go into the development. So the design tab here, this is basically where you design you're able to take the elements, put them on the canvas, and basically design your application with these elements. Then you have the responsive tab, which if you click here, you're able to see how your application is functioning on different devices. So this is really important because sometimes you're developing an app and you want to see how that application is performing on different device types. So we're going to be developing for a mobile application, so that's going to be using this size. And then right here you have the grid and borders. You really don't want to change anything here, but like for example, if I click on this, it shows me the grid. So sometimes I want to develop with the grid. And some very important things to note: you have snap elements to edges. So sometimes I might be developing an application and I might like have a group like this, and I might take an element and draw that element here. So if I just use my left button, it's going to snap it to the edge of the element, right? So that's a very nice thing to have here. Snap elements to edges, show distances on over. That's another really nice element thing to have, right? So arrange just basically shows you a couple of things that you can do with your development. This is the undo button, this is the redo button, and this is the preview button to preview how your application is looking on the front end. And here you have a list of the elements and you can edit them. And last thing I want to show you is the elements tree. So sometimes you're going to be developing something and we might hide it so that it doesn't show up when the page is loaded. So that element will show up here so that we could always hide it and unhide it. So this is going to be very useful when we are creating things like custom states and we are creating things that that we don't want them to show up. We only want those elements to show when somebody takes an action. So we're going to be talking about that more and more. So that's all for now, and I'll see you in the next video where we're going to be talking more about the sign up process, and we're going to be developing our first page on the application. So I can't wait to go into it. I'll see you then. Take care and bye bye.